Good morning, party people. Go ahead and hit that like button. And man, for the life of me, I don't know why, but like in yesterday's video, 1 out of 4 people hit the like button. I mean, that's all I got registered is 24% of the views have likes. It blows me away. Now, there's a YouTube creator that I like to watch. I don't watch many, but this one particular guy I like. And he did a lot of live feeds. And man, he would stop in the middle of a live feed if he didn't have at least 50% likes or dislikes, some kind of engagement. He just shut it down, put on some obnoxious music, and just sit there until he got his likes up to at least 50%. So I don't know why I'm only getting 24% or low. Now, I'm appreciative of 24% because that's way more than I used to get. I used to only get like 8, 9% on my likes. And before I started kind of trying to encourage you guys to support me with that, I think maybe a year ago, I was only getting 6. So let me go back and check that. Again, last couple of days, it's been about 24%. So that's good. I appreciate it. But if you haven't done it, hit like. And if you don't like hitting the like, hit the dislike. You know, that's fine too. In this video, I was still in the Albuquerque area. Went to go put the engine and transmission in the Panther. I wasn't thinking about some of the modifications that Panther had. So that went a little different than I expected. So you'll see that in the video. Other than that, I'm still in San Diego. Didn't get finished with everything I needed to in this area. I'm going to finish an evaporator job on a V70R here this morning. Hopefully we'll get the rest of the parts we need to finish this car here so I don't become a hostage. And hey, just having a great day. The weather is near perfect. It's a little chilly now in the morning, but as the day goes on, it warms up nicely. It's in the low 60s. I didn't know it would be this nice, but it is beautiful out here. So that's where I'm at. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate your support. And if you got any questions, go ahead and post them here or call or text me. Have a great day. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you could click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Well, folks, time for round 2. Let me open up this door, get some fresh air and some light, and feels good out here. So I'm open this garage door and get with it. Yes, sir. Got the garage door open. Beautiful weather, probably 55 degrees out here. Got the red car here. Hadn't looked under here, but got some cheap struts on this car. That would have to go if I kept it. Got the straps and the piece on the back of the gas tank. This is a no-rust situation, folks. Beautiful. It's just dirty. Just dirty as all get out. Looked like somebody replaced the fuel filter at one time. And I doubt this is connected. Somebody tore that open, towing the car. And of course, this vacuum hose is disconnected like usual. This is very common to have this disconnected from that hose up there. Usually sets off a check engine light. It's a rollover valve. Somebody's jacked the car up here at the wrong spot, caved in the floor there. Actually got a little tear in it, needs to be sealed up. That ain't a big deal here, but it's a big deal if you go to where it can rust. Somebody's moved these lines out of their holder proper. That might have been me, I'm not sure. But yes, sir. That jacking point's a little crushed. Somebody jacked the car up there before. You gotta hit this spot here when you're lifting these cars up. Somewhere in this triangle area to get them where you don't damage them. Somebody damaged the rocker panel there a little bit. And this fender looked like somebody rattle canned it. It's starting to peel with here. It'd be nice to put a nice fender on that. But you know, hey, 26 years old, whatever. Still dripping a little coolant out of there. Looks like that sleeve is coming out on this radiator. That metal sleeve should not be hanging out of there. This radiator needs to be replaced. And of course it messed up the transmission, so that's that. Close off that petcock, not that that matters. Anyway, let me refresh myself and get to work. Put that transmission on last night. Huh, I didn't notice this. Not sure how long that bolt's been missing out of that bracket, but I need to put a bolt in there. I should have some spare bolts. I gotta take this vacuum line off of this pipe and transfer it over to the other car. And my heater hoses on Panther were newer. I'm gonna transfer those over and put my turbo and stuff over here. I got exhaust manifold gaskets. So let me get cracking. Got rid of the oil cooler lines, put that block off plate on there. Getting ready to hook up the turbo oil feed. The pipe was clear, and you look in that banjo bolt, make sure it's clear and there's no sludge or anything in it. Got the exhaust manifold on, our exhaust manifold with the 19T. Getting ready to hook up this coolant hose, make sure it's not damaged. Better to use the right clamps. You see how those clamps bugger up the hoses. The drain looks like it's in good. Got that coolant line on. Got those two new coolant lines on there. I'm rolling right along. I'm going to put this bolt in and torque it to 22 foot-pounds. Got the engine up off the ground with the hoist and the leveler. Lowered it into position. Tilted it down. Slowly lowered it while I massaged it in place. Once I got it close, or the front of it started to go inside the apron here, I leveled it back out and then lowered it down real slow. Got it the torque mount in, got it this in, then stopped it. Popped the front one in, went and checked the back one. It's in place. We're good to go. So I hooked up my NOx sensors. These NOx sensors are different from these 95 cars to the 98 cars. The 98 has a plug-in here for the harness for the NOx sensors. These plug in at the engine. So I had to remove that from the 98 engine and put them over here. So I had to remove the intake manifold. I cleaned out the PCV. Didn't have no new parts, so I had to go back in with the parts I had. I wasn't prepared to do that. But I do have an intake manifold gasket in case I had to do that. I didn't have to take the PCV off, but I wanted to check, make sure it was clean. So I hooked the ground wire in down there. These two ground wires in here, which are not like that on the 98 engine. And now I can put my starter in and continue to hook up my wires and things. So here's the plug for the oil pressure sensor. And for some reason, well, for lifting up the engine and transmission, this bracket got tweaked. And now I can't get this bolt through this hole here. So I'm going to loosen this lower one on the alternator, which should loosen that position a little bit. And then I'll be able to massage the bolt through there so I can get that in when to finish up the engine. Then I'm going to clean this off with a wire wheel and then put this stuff on and just keep hooking up my wires. They fall into place pretty good. This is the wire that goes from the starter to the alternator. This is the wire that I replaced a long time ago that goes over to the battery. This also goes on the starter. This brown wire here goes in between these two, and this plugs into the back of the starter lower port. So then I'm gonna hook up my starter and I'm gonna put my AC in before I put any of that other stuff in, because you got clear shot here. I removed the oil cooler lines like I said, and then I'll get to work on this side of the shabascal. Next, I'm going to find out how much fluid my transmission lost. I'm going to pour what I drained out of it into there through a strainer and see how much I have. And then I bought 2 quarts. I'm going to fill it up until it starts coming out of this axle hole. This axle hole is about level with the field level bolt. So let's see how low we were. Let me grab my strainer. S70 engine I'm working on, the PCV system, still has that hold down clamp right there to hold the PCV tube down under the intake manifold. A lot of people trap this top of this bracket between the bolt head and the intake manifold. It doesn't go like that. That'll cause you intake leaks, car won't start, stuff like that. Got to pull this back, and the intake manifold goes on the bolt, and this goes toward the front of the car, and the gasket is behind the intake manifold. If you trap this back like that, you're going to have problems. That's the bracket. I get that call all the time. Putting the engine up and down, my bracket bent. I had to bend it back out to get all my accessories bolted up in there. So all my accessories are in there. I'll put the intake manifold. I got rid of the automatic transmission plastic sleeve, so I put a clamp on that, and I got to make sure that stuff doesn't rub the cable. It's free of it right now. And I'm going to keep on rolling. Well, folks, I don't know. I guess it's a good thing. It is 11 p.m. I started about 12:30, took maybe an hour break at most. So this thing took me 10 hours to put back together. But it is all back together. Of course, you're making decisions what part to use off of which engine, this, that, and the other. Because this car is done. This car and engine package is going to be reworked. So, and I'm actually going to take the block apart from Panther and tear it down, look at the wear. And a viewer has showed interest in buying one of the pistons out of it so he can have a piece of Panther's history. So I will be selling 4 out of the 5 pistons out of Panther's block, the hardest working 850 on the planet. That's my claim, and I'm sticking with it. 530,000 miles on the block. But everything is together. I torqued the axle bolts. I'm getting ready to disconnect the coil, disconnect the fuel injector relay, and I'm going to crank it until I have good oil pressure, so the oil pressure low light will go out. Then I'll hook those 2 things back up and fire it up. Let it run for a minute and then shut it down and get out of here. Clean up enough to get out of here. We do have oil. It is on the dipstick. Looks good. I serviced the transmission. I just added the coolant. I'm probably going to burp coolant. You spill a little bit here and there, so I'm probably down, I don't know, 20 ounces or so on coolant before it's all said and done. So let's go inside and crank it after I disconnect the coil and the fuel injector relay. Coil's unplugged there. Fuel injector relay's out. I got this coil wire unplugged. That doesn't really matter. But let's go in here and crank it till our low oil pressure light goes out. Had all that stuff disconnected. Then we'll check under it for fluid leaks. See, we got low oil pressure right there. We got to crank it till that goes out. I'm going to crank it 10-15 seconds at a time. There it goes. It went out. Crank it 5 more seconds just for good measure. Then I'm going to hook that stuff up and start it. Yep, went right out. Let's go ahead and hook our stuff up and fire it up. Of course, this engine was a running engine. Really ain't no big reason to do anything special. Change the oil if you want. We didn't compromise that other than taking that turbo loose and putting that turbo back on. And you gotta be careful not to push these down too hard. A lot of these panels are bad. Hear that idle air valve buzzing? A lot of these panels are rotted out, and you will break through the bottom of that thing. So I should have turned it off before I plugged that stuff in, but I didn't. Fire her up. I'm not giving it any gas or anything. It was out of fuel as well, so let me try to keep it started this time. Oh, fire it up on its own. Oh, I wonder if that's got something to do with the mass airflow sensor. Let me try this one more time. Don't have a check engine light. Running rough like it's got a bad MAF or something. This thing will not idle, so let me see what's going on. May have something to do with timing because of the tune, but I'm not going to run it no more in the garage. I'm going to run it outside. Well, as you've seen, I did get it started. Had a hard time getting that thing to idle right, but I did not get that other engine put together and in that other car, so that's going to be a task for tomorrow. But Panther's running. I had to find some vacuum that wasn't hooked up right. Man, that thing needs a retune because of the performance mods and the NA cams and stuff like that that was in there. But after about 50 miles or so, it smoothed out. It's running great and everything is well. Panther's back on the road. No smoking. This engine is consuming very little oil, so I'm good to go. I'm looking forward to making my rounds in Panther again, getting it back to work hard and steady. So thanks again for watching, and I appreciate your time. Have a great day.